Hey guys, it's me, Jaychrist, and welcome to another episode. To be honest, it's a little bit lonely now, right? And I'm doing this podcast, but I'm super aware of that, and I accept that because I know to keep moving forward with your ideas is really a lonely place to be because nobody cares about your shits until you care enough with your own shits, right? So that's probably one of the things that I always said over and over and over again to myself. If I do this, if I keep doing this, somehow or someday someone will appreciate it, even in a even in so many little ways, right? So yeah, and for this week episode, I don't know what will I do, and I don't really know what I'm doing. So I just record this one that hopefully create or will have a good result. I don't know, right? So I have in mind the title is Limitation Breed Creativity. So, which is actually true because I started this podcast more than 1 year ago, and there's a lot of limiting beliefs inside of me, right? Should I do this? Am I good enough? Do I have that great accent, or what if there are grammar Nazi everywhere because of what I'm doing? Because I try to communicate through English, but it's not my first language. Like what I've always said in every podcast or in every episode that I had, it's not my first language, and I always try to communicate in English because I think that it shouldn't be, there you go, spill it out, Jay, guys. You shouldn't limit yourself in a one language or in a one creation or everything, right? So I had in mind this title, Limitations Breed Creativity, and this is not what I intend to do this episode. It just came to my mind. Oh, yeah, and I had this. I stumbled on a review on my iTunes or Apple Podcast channel. So I think it's two reviews that always saying that itagalog mo na lang. Please say it in Filipino rather than in English, so we can understand more. Because admittedly, I'm struggling with English, right? And I'm super aware of that. And I said as well and realized back then that it's probably one of the reasons why I'm doing this podcast, to improve my English, to improve my communication skill, right? So not only to showcase different awesome stories from different cool people that I met during the podcast. And by the way, we are now on episode 57, right? So it's a little bit long now, and it's a great journey, and I'm loving every second of it. And I also always said that I made negative money for the previous 12 months. Damn. And but I'm good at it. I never feel, sad or failure, right? Because it's what I'm love doing. Even though there's a lot of grammar Nazi out there that, hey, your English is so poor. I was like, I have a 6th grade English vocabulary, right? And when I started blogging or writing, I always said that as well. Is there anyone who would, read my sixth grade English? But that limitations breeds creativity inside of me. So I just started it. I just do it, and I'm still proud of it, right? And I'm still happy and grateful for all the comments, for all great comments, even for the bad comments that I had, because it makes me grow. It makes myself progress into a different level. All right. So yeah, and I just want to, highlights this part that limitations breed creativity. You don't want to limit yourself in a language barrier or in one thing, or put yourself in a box, right? There's a lot of things that you can create out there, and I got this from Jesse, one of the coach or thought leader that I'm following online. So there's, you can't be better at creating. You just create and create and create every day, right? So I think that's really on point, and I love those lines. And I said this before on my previous. I had a webinar last week for a group of Filipino freelancer, and I was super grateful to be invited on that. And kudos to all the crew of FaceTop behind that. So it's really, overwhelming to get those great response and those cool response. And I even don't want to call myself coach, right? So, but everyone is talking to me like I'm a coach or I know everything, right? So it's not the case, guys. So I'm just a human being like you who like to progress and go out there and create, and maybe somehow build a meaningful relationship and build a legacy, right? On being vulnerable on my creation. So let's go back on Jesse's quotes that you will never be better at creating. You just create and create every day. Because we need to realize we create every day, right? So you don't just, I think a lot of people don't know that, or don't aware of that. When you say yes to a certain thing, or when you say no to a certain thing, that is part of the process of creating, right? It's from Jess. So I will link his name up. I forgot the I'm sorry, I forgot the last name, which is a really great author as well. But I just remember his live session. So why not share it here, right? So let's go back on that. So I did a webinar, and it's similar to what Jesse said. I said that practicing does not equal to perfection, right? So I always said that focus more on your journey, focus more on your personal journey, right? And you will realize that how much you can unfold on doing that, how much you can unfold on focusing on one course, how much that you can unfold by creating through your challenges, through documenting your process, right? There's a lot of, great opportunities out there, and you just have to be open for that. And that's the real thing, because small progress creates big opportunities. I always said that. And Yeah, but when you practice and practice, do it every day, doesn't mean that you are going to be perfect, because perfection is bullshit, right? It's not. It's not a. It's not a. It's not a. You know. Oh, I'm struggling right now to say the word, but it's not real. It's bullshit for me, for my own perspective, because you know, we still, you know, I don't know if people can realize this one, right? So you have to be really open on it, to criticism, to comments, to every of it. So I just want to create on, you know, overlapping those beliefs, right? So, and ditching the limiting beliefs, because I want to create a community where ideas exist, and where you talk about ideas than others' ideas, right? So than doing memes, or than creating some non-essential things, right? So just less nonsense. And by the way, I'm an introvert, right? So I don't like not the, you know, not the hate part of. I don't want to, you know, talk small things, right? So I want to, you know, be intentional when I talk to someone. I want to learn big things from him or her, right? And I want to share as well what I'm what's my perspective for that as well, and what's my take on that, right? So I mean, ideas are everywhere, but not everyone is executing it, right? And probably it's really a progress thing, right? You just need to progress and create every day, but don't assume that you will be perfect on doing that, and be aware of that. And I'm aware of that. And doing this podcast, I know there's a lot of grammar mistakes during the interview or during the previous episode, but I love communicating in English, and I want to learn more as well and be better at communication in terms of different languages, right? So, and I just want to highlight this, guys. So a lot of Filipinos are, you know, criticizing the grammar of someone who live in Philippines, right? So, and that's really sucks, right? So I think you should have to criticize them well, right? So you should have the idea of how to criticize in a good way, in a positive way, right? Not just to, you know, not just to bring the guy down with his English or with the way he talk, right? I think there's a lot of good ways and positive ways to do that, to criticize others. And yeah, like what I've said, you will always have a choice who can you follow, who you can who you can listen to, right? If you don't want to support me, that's okay. If you want to support me, that's okay as well. I'm really grateful for that, and thank you so much for all the great feedback and reviews for these creations, for these new ventures, and I'm still loving it, and I will still keep doing it. And yeah, by the way, before I end this episode, I already made the online shop that I said before long time ago, right? So I'm sure it's going to be really helpful for those designers or for those creatives that, especially aspiring creatives that are just getting started. And I know it will be really valuable for them to up their game, to aim for a long game. Like what I'm always saying, right? So you can check that out at shop.jaychristteves.com and let me know if you have any questions. If it's just it's an ongoing process. My online shop is an ongoing process, and there's a lot of changes going on behind the curtain. So probably it will. There's a lot of change coming soon. All right, so just keep your eyes peeled for that, especially for those creatives, professional or aspiring creatives that I want to help, or that I really want, to succeed in their career on designing. There you go again, Jaychrist. Spill it out, bro. So designing their creative career, right? Or even their creative side hustle or business. All right. So let me know if you have, any feedback on it. If there's a certain course or a specific course that you want to learn from me, and I would really, really love to help. And if you love to build your brand as well through podcasting or anything in between, let me know. I'm just here. Just reach out, and probably I will. I always respond actively on Facebook or on Twitter, and you can always email me on my email address at hi@jaychristteves.com. So that's it for this week episode, and we will go back next week into interview format. So thank you so much for sharing the time with me this week. And I know I had a lot of grammar mistakes here. So thank you so much for listening to my podcast, and for all the things that you've done, or for sharing this one to reach more people. I really appreciate it. All right. So like what I've said, once again, we will go back into interview format next week. I had a really great guy on the episode, on the podcast, on another episode of the podcast. So you will love this, and you will love it for sure. All right. And hopefully you'll learn something new from this episode, like what I've said. And enjoy. Stay awesome, guys, and have a great day.